What's up, guys? It's been a while since I've made a YouTube video. I've still been active on Bring NCAA back on Instagram, but life's just been busy, so I haven't been able to upload on YouTube, but I would love to get back into it. Today I just wanted to talk about everything we know about EA Sports College Football, aka NCAA Football 24. So basically today we're just going to break down everything we know so far, such as the release date, game modes, gameplay, etc. All the information in this video will come from the Extra Points newsletter with Matt Brown, as well as an article that 24/7 Sports just published yesterday. So I highly recommend y'all go check out the newsletter by Matt Brown. Definitely subscribe to it, and then as well check out the article by 24/7 Sports. Okay, so let's get into it. The first thing is the release date. EA is aiming to release it in July of 2023. This has basically been known by most people nowadays. It has not been publicly confirmed by EA, but it's been obtained in open records requests. One thing to note here is that EA is simply aiming for that date. Like I said, has not been publicly confirmed. So while it's hopefully likely it'll release then, if it did release later, I do think that is possible simply because there's still a lot they have to do with getting players and all the assets for the game. So hopefully it's July 2023. That's definitely the goal, but it has not been publicly confirmed. EA's been working hard to obtain all the assets from the different schools. This includes stadiums, music, jerseys, all the above. The biggest complex, costly thing they have been working on is the stadiums. You know, there's a bunch of different stadiums, and they want to get the feel right for each team. I really like this. One of the biggest differences between Madden and college is that each team in college has their traditions and their feels to the stadium that is not a part of Madden or the NFL. And so getting those stadiums right, getting the vibe right, getting the atmosphere correct, that is huge. And so I'm glad that EA's been working hard and long on this. All right, so game modes. What game modes will be in EA Sports College Football? So Matt Brown said that EA is planning on an Ultimate Team mode. This was kind of obvious just because it's a money grab. Ultimate Team makes a lot of money with all the microtransactions. I personally probably will not be playing in that much, but we could see that coming from a mile away. However, Matt Brown also said the Dynasty mode will be returning. That is good. That's obviously a W. If it wasn't in it, the game would be a huge disappointment. So glad to see it coming back. The one thing I was worried about, though, is that Matt Brown did not mention Road to Glory. And I was getting a little worried because we had never heard, since we knew the game was coming out, we hadn't heard anything about Road to Glory. However, 24/7 Sports yesterday confirmed, or at least said, that Road to Glory should be in the game. One of their sources said that the developer, EA, will continue Road to Glory. So we should have Dynasty and Road to Glory just like we did in NCAA 14, and we'll also have Ultimate Team mode. Will real players be in the game? The short answer is yes. How many? We don't exactly know. Matt Brown said that EA has a framework to include real players. This is probably definitely through an NIL deal. Since there's no college football player union or collective bargaining unit, it's going to be hard to get every single player because they're basically having to go to these players individually. So 24/7 said that EA is aiming to have a 2-deep depth chart at least for every single team. So basically I interpreted this as, you have your starter and your backup quarterback, your starting running back, your backup running back, and so on down the depth chart. However, I don't know exactly how that works for a position such as wide receiver or cornerback. What if you have 3 starting wide receivers on the field? Does that mean you have a total of 6 on the depth chart? Or does that mean you have the 3 starters and then 1 or 2 backups? I'm not entirely sure. That'll be interesting to see. Hopefully they can get as many real players as possible. None or some is better than none. But it'll be disappointing for sure if we're missing a bunch of players. In the same sentence by 24/7 Sports that says EA's aiming for a 2-deep depth chart, it says with fake players comprising the remainder of the roster. So you kind of interpret that as they'll have the 2-deep depth chart with real players followed by a bunch of fictitious players. However, EA is expected to update rosters via downloadable updates through the life cycle of the game. This is huge. We did not have this in NCAA football, and so this appears to be new for EA Sports College Football. Hopefully that means with, players opting out to play, opting back into play, with players moving around on the depth chart, with players transferring as frequently as they do, that EA can put out an update for the rosters, and you can download it, and then it'll reflect the real life rosters. This begs the question, though, and 24/7 Sports asked the same question. Like, what if a team's star quarterback refuses to be in the game? Um, how does EA handle that? Do they simply just create a fake player that is nothing like the actual player? Because again, they don't want to get sued like they did back in 2013 or whatever it was. So you could, for example, if Bryce Young decided not to be in the game, he's a black right-handed 5'11" or 6-foot quarterback, whatever he is, you could make a white left-handed long blonde hair, basically just make Trevor Lawrence a left-handed Trevor Lawrence. Obviously he's nothing like Bryce Young, but then you make the overall accurate to Bryce Young to keep the team still, what it should be, or do they simply elevate the backup to the starter? But do they make the backups overall would Alabama's backup quarterbacks overall be as good as Bryce Young if Bryce Young decided not to be in the game, or would Alabama's quarterback simply just now be like an 80 overall dude? So exactly how does that work? And then on top of that, this point right here, I do not like. It's kind of scares me. It says that the decision on whether to allow customers to edit rosters is also a point of contention and potentially litigious. Basically meaning we might not be able to edit players and rosters in the new game because they don't want to get sued again like they did before. Which, if we can't edit the players and the rosters, that's a huge L. It'll be a huge disappointment. And so I feel like it's almost guaranteed. While editing the rosters may still be up in the air, I think it might be almost guaranteed there's no roster share like there is on Madden, because they don't want to get sued like they did before. So what we know at the end of the day is that there will be some real players in this game. We just don't know how many. All right, so moving on. The new game will be built on the Madden engine. This was expected. I know a lot of people aren't happy to hear that, but I mean, we all saw that coming. However, I don't think it's not that big of a deal. The Madden engine, I believe, is the Frostbite engine. There's a bazillion different games built on the Frostbite engine. You can build different games on this engine, so it doesn't necessarily guarantee that this game will just be a Madden reskin. There's supposed to be gameplay tweaks, so I'm hoping these gameplay tweaks are significant. Am I worried? Are my expectations low? Yes, because it's EA, and EA continuously disappoints. But that, like I said, doesn't necessarily mean it's just going to be a Madden reskin. It can definitely be a much different and feel much different than Madden. So I'm hoping for the best. So as I briefly touched on earlier, EA is really trying to hone on each team and their atmosphere and their feel and their traditions, because that's what college football is all about, right? So each playbook should be robust and very team specific. They're going to have throwback uniforms, helmet stickers. This even says that one school provided EA with more than 3,500 assets. So hopefully these schools are providing a lot of assets, a lot of details and information they can give to EA, so EA can make the feel for these teams exactly what it is in real life, because that's what makes college football so special and so different from a sport and a video game like NFL and Madden. So to wrap up this video, just a few things I'll touch on. 24/7 said that coaches have not been approached about utilizing their likeness in the game, so we may not have the actual head coaches and offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators in the game. Obviously, that's not a huge deal. I would like to have them in the game, but I can understand that's not their top priority. They also said that, or they mentioned the cover art. EA has not decided who will be on the cover art. 24/7 mentions past superstars, Johnny Manziel, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, etc. But since they can pay current players now, you could put a current player on the cover. So that would be really cool. The last thing, it's a very small thing, but it's something I'm actually really excited for, is that virtual magazine covers and Dynasty mode will return. So if you remember, I remember back in NCAA 04, I know it was in 06, different years, they had the Athlon Sports and Sports Illustrated magazine on in the Dynasty mode on the main menu. I thought it was just a really cool touch, and apparently that's returning, so I'm excited for that. And talking about that, I hope they have things like since we're talking about 24/7 Sports, I hope they have the recruiting for 24/7 Sports. I bet they will. I think that's probably part of the reason 24/7 Sports even published this article is that they're in the game. So just different things like that to make it modern but also realistic. I think that would just bring great touch to the game. That'd be super interesting, super cool. So to kind of give my final thoughts so far to this point in the development process, am I excited for the game? Yes. Are my expectations low? Yes. Um, I think there's a lot of good things, like just having any real players. That's something we really never saw coming back in 2013. So I'm excited for that. I think EA is doing a good job of trying to get the traditions and the atmospheres and the feels right for each program. I think that's huge. I think they're doing a good job with that. But if the game feels like Madden, no one's going to want to play. If Dynasty mode or Road to Glory sucks, like recruiting sucks, no one's going to want to play. If we're missing out, if it's just a bunch of microtransactions, no one's going to want to play. So hopefully EA gets it right. Like I said, my expectations are low, but who am I kidding, man? I'm so freaking excited for this game. When it comes out, it's going to literally have been a decade since the last college football video game. I was 13 when the last one came out. I'll be 23. I mean, that blows my mind. I could not be more excited. I guess I'll wrap up this video, but I hope y'all are excited. Definitely let me know in the comments what you're most excited for. Subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at Bring NCAA Back. I'm going to try to I post a bunch on there on Instagram, but I'm going to try to also upload more on YouTube. If you're new, welcome to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.